So in this new series, I'm taking requests from the comments. In this case, Great Child, he wrote that he wanted me to make a tutorial of Sub-Zero, like some sort of like frost ice blast effect. So I decided to take the challenge and I went for these Sub-Zero effects. Okay, so this is what I got. It's not exactly the same, but I think my approach can help you find your ways to get a better result. But first, let's break down the shot. We have the main effects. That's one thing. Then we have the mask here going. And then we have some details like these little spikes that are forming and also around the surface on certain areas. Even this particular effect here, I noticed that if I wanted to have control, I will have to split it in different parts. Like this base here being one, secondary shots or bullets being another one, and the hero, let's say, bullets will be another one. So let's see. What do we have? I have the effect, the ice effects that grows on the gun. I have these ice effects that grows over the gun. There you go. I added to these little spikes to see if it makes any difference. And then I have the gun itself that I found in Sketchfab. So we have the gun. To the gun, I didn't do much other than scale it down because it was too big. Please, if you're gonna use like an asset from the internet, make sure the scale of the object is manageable. Remember, 1 unit in Houdini is 1 meter. So this weapon here, if I just work directly from this for Houdini, it will think that I'm working on a 25-meter shotgun. That's massive. So I scale it down to something reasonable, between 1 meter, so it's probably like 80-90 centimeter, which is still big. I haven't seen a shotgun in my life, but I mean, yeah. So to the gun itself, I just imported file and then scale it down, and then later I subdivided the gun. And added some 3 levels of depth, so it was a bit more dense, because without it, it was going to be too low poly for me for what I wanted to do. And here, oh, and by the way, in the subdivide, I wanted to keep the creases of the model, so I press this button here, override creases weight attribute, which will preserve the creases. Otherwise it will get like rounded, and I don't want that. Right, later I then, because I had at this point when I did these changes, I had already created the like this layer of ice. I then added a color to it, but this is for the late stage, so don't try to do this now. Like, it will make more sense. I'm gonna explain it now, but it will make more sense later. So this is just a mask based on the growth, so I can have like some sort of mask running in the texture that will give me some extra layer to work with. And this is just a color, black, then an attribute transfer. Then I transfer that attribute to my shotgun. Then I control the distance threshold, so because if I leave it by default, it's gonna be massive. I just take it like a little small amount, so it's a little bit after the mesh that I did before, and then change the name to something that makes sense. CD to mask frozen. I use an attribute rename for this. Then I blur it a little bit, and this is the weapon already. So we have look at the weapon. Now let's talk about these guys here, like the eyes coming through the the shotgun, right? This is what I meant before when I was explaining here, that I have to break these whole effects into smaller bits so it was much easier to control. First, so I started with the circle. I'd added some normals to the circle. It would add it to the points because there is no subdivision inside. It would just add the normal to the point. Then I created a density attribute through the attribute noise, where I just play it a little bit, and I'm gonna explain why I did this. You don't see much here. It doesn't really make sense. I will have to remesh, but let's say this worked for now, and you will see what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do here is that I want to use this density, and again, it's up to you if you want to remesh or subdivide. I didn't do it in this case, but I scatter some points on that surface, and then that surface is run by density attribute. By default, this is off, but I'm using that attribute, so it only applies the scatter on the area of the noise. So if I change this, and why do I do this? Because I thought if I just do it all over, then when I spawn the spikes, it's just gonna be like very uniform. Even if I change the variation, it's gonna be uniform. So I wanted, through the density mask that I created here, to scatter points on specific areas, like more than other, like some areas more than other. After scattering the points, and here in the scatter, I just I check the density attribute and added 2000 points, for example. And here, this fellow here, this is an attribute Bob. I'm using these ramps to control, or at least try to control, the direction of the normal, because because currently the normal is straight, just like that, outward, and that's a bit boring. I want to check them a little bit, and also I want to have some level of control of how much they should spread outward, like bend and, you know, or even twist. So I created this attribute Bob, which I will explain briefly, where I created these ramps to generate these function. Then this allow me, more or less, it's not the best, but it allows me to give it some sort of like direction, a special direction to the normal. For example, here in the containment is how much, I think is this one, yeah, how much go outward and how much go inward, you know. I learned this method from Peter Klaus, I think is his last name. I really recommend his channel. For me, one of the best source of inspiration and information to learn. Then I'm gonna create an attribute randomize for the P scale. And this, what it will do is when I copy some lines into those points, I can then randomize the scale of some of those lines to create some variations in those spikes. Then on the other hand, I have a line. It's just a simple line. This line, see that I'm giving the direction of that line in the z-axis, so it match this direction. By default, it will come like this in the y, and when you copy the lines, it will look like this, and it's annoying. You don't want that, so you need to change the direction of the line to positive z-axis, and then it's gonna be facing the right direction. I added resample just to add some extra points to the line. I bend it a little bit. It's up to you how much you want to do here. So the card can be used for many things, but in this case I'm using it to animate the line. So in the second U, as you can see, I have animated there. I have put some keyframes there to grow the line from the start position to the end. Copy those lines here, and then you have this. Now we're gonna use the sweep node, and with this we will create a geometry around the line, which will help us create the spikes. what do I do here? First of all, it's a round tube. Then I take down the radius, so it's not that by default it's like massive, so I take it down a lot. It's up to you how much you want to measure that. You want to add caps in the ends because by default it doesn't have any, so it's open. So I added like something like a grid. In the scale, I apply the scale along the curve, which allow me to shape these spikes. I also added some attribute noise just to sort of create this. If we look at here, there is like some broken spikes, like it's not like straight lines, like there is some of them with funny shapes, and that's cool. So I added an attribute noise, zero center, very low amplitude, very low element size. And this is one. Then I did the same for the second one. This time I added less points because these are longer. If I look them together, it's gonna look like this. That's a start. Not the best, but it's a start. And then I made a third one from the second one to add like an extra layer of small spikes. And together they look like this. So then we have these three for the base. What's next? The middle part. Those are the bullets that are not like the hero. These two we said that they were the hero ones, and then there's these secondary. So for the secondary, I pretty much took the same approach. This time I did remesh. This time I used an attribute pane to select where I want my density to happen, and I just painted one dot in the middle. So I wanted to have the density happening from the center. Scatter some points there. I used the same approach here to control the normal and some randomization of the P scale. The same with the line, nothing fancy. I did add some, change a bit the length. Resample. This time I added curve view, but it's not really doing much. Carve again to do the growth. This time it takes longer. I added more frames to it. From 0 or 1 to 120, and then copy the point. What do I have? I have this effect. And see that here I am changing the animation, the curve of the animation in the carve node. So it's not like straight line and then start slowing down. I mean, this is basically the setup is copied from the previous one, but the difference is, and this is something that took me a while, like a couple of hours to figure out. Here in the up vectors, if I have this by default and I play my animation, you can see that it's like rotating, right? Because it's taking the points normal, if I'm not mistaken, and they probably change as is like spawning the line. So what helped me fix it was to change the curve normal to pretty much any of this. In this case I just went from Y axis and then it stopped moving, and this made a huge difference because in the render it seemed like noise, like if the points were moving in a funny way, and it was very annoying. But once I fixed it, then it's completely straight. And then here, it's up to you. In this case, I added 18 points, so I can have more control. Same with the painting, like as I said, it's like just in the center. But as you can see, it's more of the same. And then some attribute noise on the surface in the P attribute to just break it a little bit. For the swept, I did made a shape so it feels like the bullets are here. If you look at our reference, so it's thinner before the bullet, and then the round end. So this is how, with the scale along curve, you can shape that. That's pretty much it. If we look at all of these combined, what do we have? I don't know if I can play it live. Yeah, so we have that, and I feel like it kind of works. You feel free to do more into this, add more layers of spikes or whatever you want. The only thing that we are missing here is the bullet inside, and for this I copy again this setup, the same circle and density attributes, carry the point, same 18, because I need this setup exactly as they are. Why? Because in the carve, the only difference is I'm gonna extract everything except the point. So right now I have points going through that line that is carving the line that is supposed to be forming. Like if I remove the extract, we get the line again, but here is the point, and when I copy this, I get these points that they are at the same speed and at the same time as our ice formation here. And the interesting thing, or the good thing, is that these points are on the tip. It's like, you know, the first, like the start point. So if I copy a sphere to it, there you go, you have the bullets, and here in the film it's a round thing, and there you go. And I want to have this separate because I want to add a different material. That's why I didn't put it together. I even catch this separate, and here you have the 18 and here you have the two other bullets, but it's the same setup. The only difference is that the car for the 18 is going a bit faster. You see this one start in 1, finishing 120, this one finishing 140, so it's a bit slower. But this is up to you how you want to animate this. Here's the catch, and then we have the hero one still moving. And when we watch it all together, well, this is only the mesh, and then the bullets are on the side. But for the mesh, back to the mesh, for the, well, back to the spikes mesh, which is all of this, and this is the bullets. I put all this together in a merge, all of the different layers, and then BDB from Polygon. And then I just waited to see what I was getting, because I wanted to merge all of this into one thing. As in here, it feels like a solid thing, like a solid piece of ice. I'm thinking that it could be nice, if you want, you can try adding more in the center, some other one in the center, so it feels more dense. So BDB from Polygon, I added fill interiors and put it in 0.00125. I thought about smoothing, but then the smooth takes a lot and do weird stuff in the tips of the spikes. And then finally I just converted this into Polygon and catch. And then I have everything together in one place. Good. So we have the bullets, we have body bullets geo. Just a name occurs to me. And what are we missing? We're missing the eyes growing on the weapon.